All right, legends, let me see if everything's coming through. Picture is there, the sound is coming through, music in the background. It's Monday, it is Christmas week. For those of you that are spending time with friends and family, I hope you're all having a nice festive time. No fighting, okay? No fighting, right? Should be enjoying this time of the year. And here we are, still looking at the chart, doing technical analysis. As per the thumbnail, critical zone that I'm watching here to the upside. Can we break the zone? As per the live stream I did yesterday, the question was, can we break the highs or can we break the lows? Or are we just going to continue in this boring range until after New Year's? Okay, there's definitely a possibility. So there's a very interesting level that I'm currently watching for a potential short, okay? And if I'm wrong, hopefully I get stopped out with good risk management, and but we will analyze the situation in a moment. Sorry guys, I just need to clear my throat over here. Let me just mute myself. Okay, there we go. Well, one thing you might have noticed, yes, there is no more green screen behind me. It's only my sexy face and my office background, because guys, I got myself a new camera because the old one just kept on giving me issues, and now with the new camera I'm really struggling to set it up for a green screen. So I thought, stuff the green screen, I'm gonna get some sexy lights, put it here in the background, which I've ordered, it will still come, and no more green screen. Okay, what you guys see here at the back is my office. I'm not sure if I need to zoom out a little bit, but you guys can see my office are there. Well, it's basically my cupboard where I store my files is there in the background. Maybe I can do this. Right, there you guys can see it's my office. Nice little picture there in the background, but I've ordered some RGB LED lights that I'm going to put in the background and light up the space. So I'm going to make the office a little bit sexy, and then I don't have to use a green screen anymore. That's absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's get back here into the chart. Let's go. Right, legends. Let me just put the music a little bit softer here in the background, and let's start with the technical analysis. Remember, if you have not smashed up that like button, remember to do so. Sometimes you jump into the stream and you just forget to smash that like button ever so gently to help us with the YouTube algorithm so we can grow this channel. It would be so nice as a Christmas gift. You get 7,000 subscribers, guys. I'm almost there. I need like 90 more, okay? I just need... I need 100 more subs as a nice little Christmas gift. So let's get into the technical analysis. Okay guys, I'm not going to go through all of the scenarios that I went through yesterday on the higher time frame. Today, I want to spend a little bit more time here on the lower time frames. Okay, let's talk about this little range over here. Okay, more specifically this structure. So a couple of interesting scenarios is there's the one where we basically still leave the station. Okay, I'll get to that one now. Right, there's the one. Let me zoom out a little bit just to give some context. Okay, let's go here onto the 4-hour time frame. Just a little bit of context. There is still a scenario that supports a little bit higher levels. Okay, for some reason my chart's struggling to load up today, but there we go. Okay, where we formed a WXY. Well, where we're going to form potentially a WXY, and inside of this little X wave we could still go and get upwards momentum. The minimum target for a X is the 0.382, and that's why I have a red box over there. Then you have the 50%, the 618, and ideally for the bulls you do not want to claim the 0.7 Fibonacci. As long as you do not claim the 0.7, there's still a chance to really fall to the downside, even $50,000 to the downside in a W, 3-wave structure, a X, and an ABC to the downside. This can get really nasty. But for now, there's a little bit of bullish momentum that we could potentially take advantage of. Okay, so let me go back onto the 1-hour time frame. I now just want to look at this little structure over here. Okay, there is a triangle. Okay, inside of a WXY that forms a triangle, where X basically forms a triangle over here, you want to see A should not be claimed. Okay, a B should not be claimed yet. Now we have a C, and C did not claim A, so it's valid. It's a valid triangle, because the rule for a triangle is C is not allowed to claim A, and D is not allowed to claim B. Then you have a valid triangle, and now you can see we are moving here to the upside. So I am interested in a potential shorting opportunity, and we'll go through those levels in a moment. In this triangle scenario, you would like to see a rejection and another 3 wave to the downside and an E wave that is not allowed to take C. And then you have a completed X. You break out of the triangle and you form an ABC to the upside. And remember those targets that I've just shared with you on the higher time frame. So as simple as that. Okay, so in this scenario, you can see that we are still potentially going to range for a little while. Okay, we're still going to range for a little while, but then we're going to get a breakout potentially here to the upside. And this is the move that I want to take advantage of. Okay, in this scenario, something that I'm specifically looking for in this scenario is that price has to reject before it takes the high. If price continues here to the upside, no more triangle. Okay, it's as simple as that. So price has to reject before it takes the high, and that will also then determine, well, where do I put this trend line? Okay, and the reason I have my D over here is for a very specific reason, and I'll show you guys that on the 15-minute time frame. But I would like to see a rejection in the zone, and it's here where I become very interested in a long. In the E wave, that is where I become interested in a long, because the lower we go, the better the invalidation for this scenario. Okay, I'm not going to long over here. And then price does this, okay? Because now I have to contend with all of that risk. It's not my cup of tea. It's not how I like to trade. Okay, on to the next little scenario. Okay, that's a little bit more local. Another scenario is, let me just basically draw it out over here. Okay, you formed a 3-wave structure to the upside. This is your X, and we are now busy going up for Y. Maybe we already broke it, and that's where basically price continues and it takes the high. Then there's no more triangle. Okay, it breaks out, it takes the high. That becomes a very interesting trading scenario to say, well, once you take the high, how do you retrace for potential longing opportunity to play the last leg here to the upside? Okay, in this scenario, I just want to see if the 0.7 has been tapped. Yeah, the 0.7 has been tapped, guys. I mean, to move W over here, then you have not tapped the 0.7. No, you still have tapped the 0.7. Okay. I don't particularly like price moving up to complete a Y wave because of what happened here. You tapped the 0.7 Fibonacci. So if in this scenario, a WX, okay, the highest probable scenario is for Y not to claim the high of W. In actual fact, it looks a little bit something like this. Okay, this is where the range could potentially still continue, where Y now builds another triangle. Okay, now you guys, we keep on talking about triangles, okay? You build another triangle, which means this was never a triangle to begin with. This is a complex 3-wave structure in an X wave. Now you form an A, B, C, D, E. Okay, you finish your Y and you fall down. So the longer we range, and I think I touched on this yesterday as well, the longer we range without claiming the high, the higher the probability of taking the low. Okay, so if we're going to get choppy price action over the next coming weeks that just goes sideways and it does not claim the high, it does not claim the low, then you increase the probabilities of just claiming the low without claiming the high. So you basically want the bulls to start stepping in soon to break out. Okay, in the previous triangle scenario where X is forming the triangle and not the Y. Because in this scenario, if I take a fib from the low to the high of W, you can see that X claimed the 0.7, and this increases significantly the probabilities that Y should not claim the high of W. Okay, so you basically just form a larger sideways corrective structure and you fall down. I must say the one that does look the most interesting is for price to at least find a little bit more upwards momentum. Okay, so basically, legends, you want price to start breaking out soon, okay, in this scenario that I've just shared, this one, okay? You do not want to claim the high, you want to fall down in a 3-wave structure to complete your E wave, and then you want to break out if you still want upwards momentum. Okay, right. So now let's focus here on the smaller time frame. Yes, I did a little bit of effort and I tried to count this absolute mess here on the 15-minute time frame. But maybe before I jump into the 15-minute time frame, let me just quickly say hi to the community. Very nice offers. Thank you so much, Nico. Welcome to the live stream. Always great to see you here. Nico, I think, you know, I think I need to do something, Nico, because you are one of my diehard fans. I've seen you absolutely showering the comments with positivity, and I just want to see if I do have access. Where is Mr. Nico over here? Let's do this. Right. Okay, cool. Mr. Rudy, hello charters. Have a great trading day. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Thank you, Dewald, for all you do. Sure appreciate you. Absolute pleasure. So, it's nice to be here this time of the year. Where the cookie? Where the cookie? Yes, I think I need to put that cookie where I want price to go. But I reserve that cookie for special moments, because we all know the cookie monster. Bitcoin, the cookie monster, always goes and grabs the cookie. Hey, Dewald. Please do ETH today. I'll see if I have time, guys. I do actually want to do a little bit of a shorter live stream, so maybe I'll do ETH tomorrow. If I do have time, I'll tackle ETH today. I want to go through the macro bullish and bearish case scenarios on ETH. I already have done the preparation, and I must say, the bullish case scenario on ETH is absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane. But then again, the bearish case scenario will still give us nice little momentum to the upside. But yeah, I need to share those scenarios. Okay, hi guys. Thank you, Dewald, for the education. Absolute pleasure. Thank you, brother. Absolute pleasure, man. Where did you get that spanner from? Right, let's carry on with the technical analysis. So, legends, inside of this mess on the 15-minute time frame, okay, since we formed the top over here, I cannot really count an impulsive structure to the downside, even in a leading diagonal. You all know the leading diagonal. Okay, there's your leading diagonal, where you've basically formed, let me take the scribble out. Okay, I'm going to do this so that everyone follows. You have formed a, which pivot to use, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Okay. Now, the one thing I have to stress and I have to just put out there is that in a leading diagonal where you have formed 5 waves to the downside, you need to label this a 1. And then you need to label your correction a wave 2. And then you're going to absolutely tank to the downside in a 3rd wave, which is definitely going to take the low of the structure. But something that I have to highlight is that leading diagonals, okay, carry very low probability. They are the lowest probable impulsive structure that you can consider. You always have to consider multiple 1-2s, and this is why we spoke about multi 1-2s here to the downside. But inside of this structure, I did say I don't favor the multiple 1-2s because of all the 3-wave structures inside of this structure. Okay, but let's just discuss the scenario and the problems with this scenario. So this scenario is rare to have a leading diagonal. It is most common to have triple 1-2s or double 1-2s, which didn't happen. It got invalidated. So which is now the next second probability is that it's an ending diagonal. So if this is an ending diagonal, it actually carries higher probability. Now, what does it mean? Dewald, what is an ending diagonal? Well, if this was your 5th wave, you expect this to be the end and for these highs to be claimed again. That carries higher probability than a leading diagonal. So This is an ending diagonal. You go in and claim the highs again. Carries higher probability from a technical perspective. Okay, so if this is a leading diagonal which carries the lowest probability, there's now another issue here on the cards. Most common that you see inside of a leading diagonal, after you've completed your fifth wave, you get a normal zigzag to the upside, like what happened here, A, B, C. So since this high, price should have fell in a third wave to the downside, but it didn't. And then you took the low in a flat. Okay, now to have a flat corrective structure inside of a diagonal is now adding rarity upon rarity. Okay, you're now looking at two extreme rare structures coming together. So I cannot give the scenario the highest probability where this is the end, this is the correction that's coming to an end over here in a second wave, and we're just gonna whop to the downside in a third wave. Okay, and the target is very simple, okay, because if it's a third wave going to build here to the downside, let's go onto the 30-minute time frame. What you want to do as a technical analyst is you take your trend-based fib, just wait for the chart to load up here. Congrats, Nico. Always happy to listen to you, and brother, though I'm an analyst too, and love bro. Yes, Top V Media, welcome to the live stream, man. Okay, so you would take your trend-based fib from the high to the low to wherever this corrective structure is going to end. Okay, maybe that's the top. Maybe it's going to move a little bit higher. So let's just put it here, right? You know, like here somewhere. But just to give you an idea, if this is a 1, okay, and this is a 2, you at least expect the third wave to go and hit the 1.618. So that could take us down to 75,000. Basically, it's going to take the low of the structure. Then you still expect a 4 and another 5 to the downside. But now I've explained to you why this is so rare. Okay, because there is a count where your three-wave structure has come to an end in a WXY. This is basically the end of the corrective structure. You have built a leading diagonal to the downside. You're forming your corrective structure at the moment, and we're going to fall. I'm not saying this can't play out, guys. I'm just saying you have a rare structure upon another rare structure to get a flat that takes the low. So you basically now have a flat corrective structure, an A, B flat, and a C to the upside. Three-way flat corrective structure after a leading diagonal is just not great from a probability perspective. Okay, but if price does decide to absolutely fall here to the downside, you could very easily go and hit the 1.618 at $75,620. Okay, after which you expect a 4 and another 5 to the downside. So, I mean, if that had to happen, I know where to look for along. I can take advantage of this little fourth wave. And if we go down for another fifth wave, well, I have levels to the downside that I will be paying attention to. Because after a 5-wave move to the downside, okay, just to put it into perspective, if we do get this rare structure that's going to play out here, okay, it has to correct itself. You at least want to see another 3-wave up before you continue back to the downside. And I can take advantage of that move. I can take advantage of this move. So depending on how the structure unfolds, I can take, I can make trading decisions. But I just had to highlight the probability of this playing out is not high. Okay, there's a higher probability that we at least continue sideways. There's a higher probability in doing that. Then there's a higher probability to take out the high based on the ending diagonal. Okay. Anywho, now, right, so there is a structure that supports momentum to the downside. It's not pretty, but it's there. Okay. And yeah, I mean, this was a beautiful longing opportunity where I jumped into. Okay, beautiful ABC here to the upside. But also, what I highlighted to the Legends Pro community is that because I remember when we made this beautiful zigzag 3-wave structure here to the upside, I told the Legends Pro community, for this structure, for me, it's not time to short yet. To short here, expecting this, that third wave to the downside, didn't make sense to me. Yes, it's still a beautiful scalping opportunity because we had a weekly and a naked point of control. Beautiful SFP that did actually come and take the lows, but that's a scalp, guys. It's not a I'm trading the third wave to the downside type of scenario, because from a timing perspective, there was an issue. Okay, if you measure from where the structure started to where the structure ended, well, that high was made before my minimum requirement. So I told the community, for me, this is not a short to play the third wave to the downside. Doesn't fit my rules, doesn't fit my trading plan. Okay, it's not to say that you can't short, guys. Okay, you have to get the difference. This to me was a scalp. You can still short, but I'm saying if you want to short over here and you don't take profits and you're waiting for levels here to the downside before you take profits, well, it's not time. It wasn't time to do that. You can still play the scalp by all means with good risk management, pay yourself, protect position. Okay, but it wasn't time yet for this to be the correction for this structure. It was too short in time. And now the probability play out, because look at where we are now. Okay, price has not collapsed because it wasn't time. Now we've taken the high. You can see that we swing failuring here at the moment from this high. Now this is way more interesting because we surpassed the 1-to-1 extension, which now means that you have a 1-to-1 extension and there's a higher chance of falling to the downside. Not here. Okay, so right. Now let's look at this little local structure here on the 15-minute time frame. Let me take this out the way. So since we made this low, okay, we have just shown everyone on the leading diagonal, I can count a three-wave structure up. Okay, so maybe that's the A. And I can count a three-wave structure down in a flat, so that must be your B. Okay. And I can count a 5-wave move here to the upside. Yes, you can count a 5-wave move there to the upside. Yesterday I wasn't too convinced, but I had a relook at the structure. You can. So that gives me a C. So I have an A, B, C, which gives me a W. Okay, cool. So I have a three-wave structure, an ABC inside of a W. So then that can be my X. And now we're going up for an ABC in a Y wave to complete a WXY to the upside, which brings me to the shorting opportunities that I am currently now observing. Okay, so when I take, just from a simplicity perspective, if I take a fib from the high to the low of the structure, you can see that we are currently SFPing from the high. It's not really the level that I want to trade. From a scalping perspective, you know what you need to do, because there's a chance that you could get a little bit more downwards momentum and you can take advantage of that move. You are getting the reaction, you are getting the swing failure at the moment. The most interesting levels to the upside for me personally is when I build some confluence. If I switch on my daily levels, well, now this becomes interesting. You have a daily level together with a 786. Now that looks interesting for a shorting opportunity. You have that beautiful consolidation area. So in a WXY, okay, that is an interesting shorting area, because also if I take a trend-based fib and I measure the targets for the WXY, well, okay, let me just take the scribble out the way. There we go. Okay, I know it looks messy and with all the levels, maybe let me take the fib out the way, but there you go. From a fib extension perspective, which is, by the way, my favorite tool to use to trade. Okay, I like it more than fib retracement. I like the extensions more. Is I have a 1-to-1 extension, which basically means that your W and your Y is exactly the same length over here. Okay, very, very common target for a Y wave. And then also the 1.382 and the 1.236. Very, very common. So you could say inside of this zone, I am very interested in a short to complete a three-wave corrective structure. to complete a 3-wave corrective structure inside of this zone. I'm also fully aware that the market loves to front run. So if the market is going to front run, well, it did tap the minimum target for a Y wave. You guys can see it's never easy, but there's just no confluence there. All you have is this pivot, the 0.618 Fibonacci, and you just swinged it at the moment. You're busy swinging it at the moment. So definitely, if the market wants to front run, this is where it needs to do it. Okay, because all the areas of confluence that I have are slightly still higher to the upside. So if I switch on my weekly levels, my point of controls, you can see from a confluence perspective where I have more areas of resistance to give me a better trading setup is still to the upside. I have a weekly range point of control, which is basically this entire range that we have been in. There's the point of control over here, very close to the 1 extension. So I would like to see that. The rejection, stop goes above the high. Okay, you enter like a pro. Then we have naked point of control, daily level. But you guys can see in the zone that I want to short is where we have the levels. Okay, more or less. But from a front running perspective, there's a chance. Okay, there's a chance. You almost grabbed the liquidity, almost grabbed all of the liquidity, but not yet above these highs. I would personally like to see a little bit of that, and then we fall to the downside. That would be nice. And you know, sometimes guys, I miss trades, okay? Because I'm waiting for an area very patiently, and then price does this. It leaves without me. It does it. And I'm happy to say it's not nice, but I'm happy to say I would rather miss the trade because I didn't have enough confluence to take the trade. Yes, by all means, okay. If I was paying attention and I wasn't in the live stream, maybe I would have played that swing failure pattern, but I wouldn't have gone in as heavy as I typically would. So maybe I would have used a smaller amount of capital because it is rejecting. It grabbed the liquidity. You have a fib level. Definitely it's worth a shot. Price moves down, you protect position. If you're wrong, you lose nothing. Okay, that's how you trade. But this is the most interesting zone for me. So if price does decide to still move up, I'm looking for a short in this zone. I'm not saying it's going to definitely reject in this zone, guys. It could do that. It could absolutely fly to the upside. Okay, and that is why risk management is so important. I want to see a proper reaction in the zone. I want to see some local bearish CVD. Whatever you use to confirm momentum is starting to slow down and shift towards the other side. Okay, so interesting shorting opportunity that I've just explained. We are, like I said, we are swinging the high here at the moment. Nice, beautiful little scalp trade. We'll see if it continues here to the downside. The only long that I am interested in at the moment is this daily level, guys. It's the only long. I don't have, you guys can see, I have all my levels switched on. I don't have anything inside of this zone. The only level that I have is the daily level. And it's the only level that I will consider for a long. So I'm interested in a short, I'm interested in a long. That's my trading plan. That's it. It's as simple as that. And I might have to wait, okay? Maybe it first comes down before it goes up. Maybe it first goes up before it comes down. Maybe it rejects where it rejected now at the moment. So because I missed this trade, if it does reject successfully to the downside, well, then I'm interested in the long. Okay. Because I know in that triangle scenario, I'm so scared to change the time frames because then I have to wait again. Come on, Bitcoin. Play ball. Play ball. Always happy to listen to you, brother, though I'm an analyst too. I've gone through that. Welcome to the live stream. Hi Dewald, hi everyone, great to see you. Yeah, have you changed your username? I haven't seen this username, or have I not just been paying attention? Okay, right. Hey, hi, hello legends, Olivier, welcome, man. We're just discussing the trading scenarios over here. I just want to see something else over here. If I'm just trying to figure out if this is the end. Let's say we're not going to claim this high. Okay. And this is an A. Okay. Complex B. I need to give that scenario a little bit more thought. I'm thinking about a flat corrective structure over here where you basically take the high. Okay, you take the low, you form a flat. I'm trying to think of a flat scenario here. But anyways, guys, I think the levels are quite obvious. I'm looking for a long in this zone. I'm looking for a short in this zone. If the market wants to front run, well, then I'm happy to miss the trade. And that's basically what I'm looking at on Bitcoin on the smaller time frames. I think we all know the higher time frame analysis at the moment. Okay, we can get that nice little WXY to the upside, or we just keep on continuing sideways. Right. When long? 87.5? 87.5? Are you preparing? Oh, basically a swing from these local lows over here. Basically a swing from these local lows. Okay. Let's see. If price is still going to continue to the downside, well, now this is the FIP level that you need to watch. The most, I can tell you now, there's two levels that I see here that looks, well, one actually that looks the most interesting. And guys, this is just scalping. I don't scalp anymore. I don't have the time to do it. But if you are scalping, okay, you have that little low over there together with a 50%. But the most interesting one is this one. Okay. Because you had a push up here with high volume. I like the high volume push up over here. And then you formed this range. And this is what I refer to as the range low strategy. Okay, so the most interesting one is you get the sweep, you grab all of the liquidity at the 618, and you get the bounce back to the upside. That is an interesting scenario because this could still be an A, a B, and a C as long as you don't tap the 0.618 from where we're falling at the moment. Let me just draw this out, guys. Let me just draw this out, okay? If this is your W and this is your X and we're still going to make a Y to the upside, how can this unfold? Well, you could still form, okay, let's say it's going to reject over here. Preferably, I would want higher, but maybe we're going to get the higher a little bit later. You could still form an A, a B, and a C in a flat to create your Y wave to the upside. That would be an interesting scenario. The most interesting level are these little lows. And then there's also that front running scenario, okay, where it grabs this liquidity and it front runs this zone. But for me, the highest probable one is this one over here. Okay, but you could get the front run like what happened now here where we rejected at the 0.618, which is the minimum target for a Y wave, because you could have an ABC done over here, a three-wave structure done. Y moves over here, okay, correction done, and now we're going to start falling to the downside. But these are just nice little scalp trading opportunities. Personally, I would like the Y wave to be a little bit longer. Because if I measure how long it took to form W, okay, yeah, I mean, guys, you at least want your Y wave to surpass the 0.382. So what I'm doing here is I'm measuring how long did it take W to form, okay, and you want the relationship between W and Y. So you can see that Y at the moment is before the 0.382. I have seen Y waves finish before the minimum requirement, but it's not common. It's rare. So it does happen, but not often. Okay. So ideally, maybe you still get a larger three-wave structure here to complete your Y wave after the minimum requirements. Okay, but guys, just to keep it simple, you basically, okay, from a scalping trading opportunity perspective, you could get the sweep of the lows or the sweep at the 0.618. I think from a probability perspective, it does make more sense to form a three-wave structure to complete your Y wave. And then this is a very interesting rejection zone, like I've highlighted. Okay, I just want to see if I'm not missing, if there's any other scenarios that I need to go through. I have my notes over here. Let me check. I've discussed the triangle. Yeah, I've discussed the triangle. I don't think it's worth talking about that right now. Right. Yeah, I mean, guys, the most bearish case scenario, and I mean, I did make a note of it. The most bearish case scenario is Y is in and we tank. Okay? It's not pretty, but it can happen. You have formed your leading diagonal to the downside. This is the most bearish case scenario that I have at the moment, is that you formed a leading diagonal to the downside in 5 waves in a contracting diagonal. Okay? This is a WXY to the upside. It finishes right over here. I've discussed the probabilities. Y is much shorter than W. It does impact the probabilities, and we tank. Okay. Better option is to put Y into perspective, is that you still get a 3-wave up. We move Y. Now that becomes better in my opinion, because now you have a W and a Y that's in balance. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome. Afternoon all. Hopefully dump is coming soon. Why do privacy coins pump like... Oh yeah, I know the privacy coins are doing absolutely amazing. Okay, Dewald the goat. Right, legends, that is basically the update that I wanted to give today. There's not much else, guys, so have yourselves an amazing day. I did say I don't have a lot of time today, so I want to keep this live stream a little bit shorter. But thank you so much for tuning in. This is basically my trading plan that I'm keeping an eye on. If anything changes, I will update the community. You guys know, Legends Pro community, I will update you guys. Link is down in the description if you do want to join our Legends Pro community. As always, let me just zoom in over here. Okay. And for anyone that's interested, if you want to have more information about myself and the course that I've put together, you can come select this link and join me tomorrow in the orientation. Okay, if there's not going to be enough interest and I see people are not interested, I'm just going to cancel it. But if there is enough interest, I will do the orientation tomorrow. Okay, and guys, remember Valto, lowest trading fees at the moment. And that is basically it from my side. Have yourselves an amazing trading day. Tomorrow I will do ETH, guys. I will definitely focus on ETH a little bit tomorrow. Have yourselves an amazing day. Until the next one, cheers for now.